Hey everyone, welcome back to the third episode of the OK Guard Show. I'm Leanna Machino.
And I'm Staff Sergeant Brian Schroeder.
And today we talked about education benefits in the Guard, which apparently very few people actually utilize, so we were surprised to hear that.
Very surprised. We sat down with Mr. Brehm and Mr. Brown with the Education Office, and it wasn't just statistics, it was money that is out there for people to take advantage of to go to school, not just themselves, but also family members. There's a lot of underutilized material that's there.
So this is our third episode, and we would love to get feedback from you on everything that we have covered so far.
Yeah, a lot of this is for our listening and viewing audience. So if you are listening to and or watching this, that means you. So please, we respect and value your opinion. Let us know what you want to hear. If you enjoy hearing what you're hearing now, if this is just chalkboard, nails on a chalkboard for you, let us know that too.
All right, so let's get started and get educated
on education benefits.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. All right, so we'll go around the table and just do brief introductions. Sorry. Just introduce yourself, your full name, what your job title is, that kind of basic thing. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jim Brehm. I'm the Supervisory Education Services Specialist.
I'm Stephen Brown. I'm the Education Services Officer.
Okay, and how long have you gentlemen worked in the Education Office for the Oklahoma National Guard?
I've been there for 7 years.
In August, I'll be there. It'll be 4 years.
Wow, that's quite a bit of time. You've seen a few people come through and help them in their educational pursuits. That's great. So what is the actual role of the Education Office?
So our role is to execute and maintain effective educational programs and education benefit services that support both the Air and Army National Guard service members.
Okay. So what does that mean?
I knew that question was coming. So it's basically customer service.
Okay.
You can consider us like a liaison. So we deal a lot with the colleges. Mr. Brehm, he deals with a lot of colleges. So we basically help link those two entities, the service member and the colleges, together.
If they're having a problem with their tuition, or they're having a problem with any of their courses that they're taking, or courses that aren't on a degree plan that they're taking and they need to take a specific course, we help them and liaise with the colleges as well to make sure it's taken care of.
Okay. So is it just universities that you deal with, or is it trade schools? Is it where is the left and right limits of what you guys do?
A lot with the universities, especially with Oklahoma and our state tuition waiver program. When it comes to the VOTEX, things like that, that's more on the service member, because we do not have an agreement with them currently.
Okay.
But we deal a lot with the VA too, especially with the GI Bill.
We mainly deal with the 2-year and 4-year colleges.
Okay. So let's talk about education benefits. That's a lot of what your office does. And talk a little bit about what's currently being offered as an incentive for being in the Guard, either Air or Army Guard.
You want to take off with FTA?
I could start with federal tuition assistance. The first program, every National Guard member has federal tuition assistance. That is where they get 18 semester hours per fiscal year, paid at a maximum of $250 per credit hour.
Wow.
It's at any college accredited institution, be it 2-year or 4-year. They can use it for both a bachelor's or a master's program. If they used it for their undergrad degree, before they can use it for a graduate degree, they must have completed ALC or the officer, captain's career course, or the WOAC course to use it for a graduate degree if they used it for their undergrad degree.
Okay.
But it's basically equivalent to amount of about $4,000 per fiscal year that they can use in educational benefits.
Wow. So that's FTA, that's federal tuition assistance.
Correct.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the state tuition assistance. Is it state tuition waiver?
State tuition waiver.
Okay.
It's Oklahoma. It's very similar to FTA, just different pots of money, and there's a little bit different requirements or eligibility. So state tuition waiver will pay up to 100% tuition only, no fees, to one of our state colleges that we have an agreement with. With that being said, every service member that comes into the Guard, whether it's in the middle of the semester or one day left in that semester, they are eligible to take advantage of the tuition waiver.
Okay. So that covers any class that I want to take at a
So
in-state university.
It'll cover up to a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And it's up to 18 semester hours per semester.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's-
a minimum
that's
of
a-
3, a max of 18.
Okay, so I don't have to be a full-time student
No,
to be able to take advantage of this program.
correct.
Not
Is
at all.
that the same with the FTA as well?
That is correct. You can take, it's a minimum, maximum you can use is 18 semester hours, or, 16 semester hours per fiscal year, up to a maximum of $4,000, which is the $250 per credit hour, but no fees are paid also.
Okay. Okay. That's a really good deal. So what do I have to do to be able to take advantage of these? You said just being a member of the National Guard, that's it?
No, there are requirements on our side. So when
Okay.
you do, the big thing is a cumulative GPA of 2.0 or greater. If
Okay.
you fall below that, then you're no longer eligible to receive the tuition. However, as soon as you're back to that 2.0, you're then reinstated basically to receive the waiver. And you cannot have no more than 9 AWOLs at any given time.
Okay.
So if you get to the 8th one and then show back up at the unit, you are still eligible to receive the tuition waiver.
Okay.
For federal TA, you just basically have to complete basic and AIT, and then you must maintain at least a 2.0 GPA.
So is this good for online classes as well, or is it only if I'm attending the university and in the classroom?
For federal TA, you can do it online or classroom-based. It doesn't matter.
Okay. And that's at any university. So federal would be any
Any
university
accredited university.
nationwide.
Nationwide, provided they sign the memorandum of understanding with the DoD.
Okay.
And they have over 1,900 colleges that have. So it's quite a few colleges that
Wow.
have.
Yeah, because there's a lot of online degree programs that people are seeking, and
You may see some that you see on TV. You need to check with us to make sure they're actually accredited.
okay.
I have a question. State and federal, can those two be used at the same time?
No, they cannot.
Okay.
To be honest, it's the exact same program. Ours is, I always tell our service members, ours is a lot easier to apply for because you have to go through Go Army Ed for the federal tuition assistance. But we have a list of colleges that are accredited, that are state schools, and they do not distinguish between brick and mortar or online either.
The only thing you can use concurrently is if you have Chapter 30 or 33, which means you were either on active duty before you came to the National Guard, regular Army, or you have been deployed for more than 90 days with the National Guard. Then you have eligibility for either Chapter 30 or 33. Those can be used concurrently with both of these programs.
And the Chapter 30 and 33, that's the GI Bill,
The
correct?
GI Bill, correct.
Okay. And can you apply for the GI Bill through your office? Do you assist service members in applying for GI Bill benefits?
We do. With the state tuition waiver, you can use any of the GI Bills to help offset the cost. It's just
Okay.
something the VA offers guidance on their website at vets.gov that you can actually use the GI comparison tool, and you can compare your GI Bills to see which one would be, if you qualify for more than one, to see which one would be more beneficial.
Okay.
But to answer your question, yes, Sergeant First Class Joe McManus is our GI Bill manager and our state tuition waiver manager. He's very good at what he does, and if the service member calls, he can help them, or they can go to the VA rep at their college, and they will guide them through the process as well.
Okay. So I technically could have my GI Bill and a state tuition waiver at the same time, or the federal tuition assistance and GI Bill at the same time.
On the federal TA side, you can use Chapter 30 or 33, but you can't use 1606 concurrently with the federal TA.
Okay. And that's just the type of GI Bill that you are eligible for.
Correct.
Okay. And then finding eligibility for the GI Bill would be through va.gov.
Right.
Correct.
When you come into the National Guard, if you have you're a high school graduate, 6-year contract, and graduated AIT, you qualify for the basic Chapter 1606 GI Bill. And that is currently at $384 a month. That what Mr. Brehm is talking about, like he said, your Chapter 33, that's going to be based off of your deployment time.
Okay. It sounds like a really great benefit from many different angles.
It is. After our last needs assessment survey, it was the number one reason why in Oklahoma and nationwide too that guardsmen and women join is for that college benefit.
Okay. So going back to the state tuition waiver, I already have a bachelor's degree. Am I eligible for the state tuition waiver?
No.
Okay. But I can use the federal tuition assistance as long as I've met the criteria that you spoke about before.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. So what level of degree can I use the federal tuition assistance for then? Is it just the master's degree?
No. You can actually use it for both a bachelor's, a graduate degree, and then you can also use it for a certificate program for up to 18 semester hours of certificate study as well. Or 21 hours of credit for a accreditation program.
Wow.
Now that has to be one that is currently through one that is being given through an approved institution, 2 or 4 year institution.
Okay. If I was applying for medical school, would federal tuition assistance offset the cost of medical school or any type of professional school like that, law degree or anything?
Right, and it does not anymore. They did away with those in 2011, but they will pay for your physician's assistant's prerequisites if you plan on going to physician assistant school.
Okay, that's outstanding. So do the benefits change? It sounds like they do. How often do changes like that come down?
Usually about once a year, actually. They actually, it's a very flexible document, so things as we try to get more information from our higher headquarters and they fight with Congress about different benefits. We did have some changes in this last year where it used to be soldiers used to have to wait a year after EIT to use their federal TA. That's no longer the case. That change just went into effect this last year where they can, as soon as they graduate AIT, they can start using their benefits.
Wow, that's outstanding. That's a lot of people join the military for the education benefits alone, and it's nice knowing that you can take advantage of them pretty much right away.
Correct.
And that's the state tuition waiver as well.
State tuition waiver, I don't know if there's been a change since it's been brought to Oklahoma. The regents, the schools, universities, college, we haven't, I say there hasn't been any big changes since I've been there at least. So that's almost 4 years.
Okay.
If a guardsman joins and 2 years down the road they haven't used any education benefits but they decide to, but there's been a change in either state or federal, is that guardsman grandfathered in per their contract, or does their benefits also change?
Their benefits would change based upon what is other applicable when they start taking when you start using the program.
Okay. And so if the benefits change, you're not grandfathered in for the time that you're using them. You have to follow whatever changes that are happening at that
Correct.
time.
Unless you're like in the middle of a semester or something, then yes, you'd be grandfathered. But if you're just starting out and the rules changed before you started college, then yes, you'd be under the current rules.
Okay.
And I want to clarify, so you have to be a current serving member, correct? Or can it be you've served your time, you're out now, but you can still retroactively use either, or no?
Not on state tuition waiver.
Not on the federal TA either.
Okay, so you have to be a currently serving
Right.
airman or soldier.
Right. You can't be in the inactive National Guard or anything like that. You must be an active drilling member of the
Okay.
National Guard.
So I know the GI Bill, you have the opportunity to give that to your family members. If you are a currently serving airman or soldier, can you pass the federal tuition assistance or the state tuition waiver on to your family members?
The federal tuition assistance, you can, after you've served, what is it, a minimum of 10 years and before you've reached your 16 years of service. And that's 16 years is very critical because that it goes into effect 12th of July of this year. If you don't have done it by your 16th year, you've lost that benefit to do it, to transfer it over once you reach over 16 years of service. For the state tuition waiver, once you're out, that benefit goes away.
And to clarify what he's talking about, that's solely Chapter 33.
Okay.
The GI Bill.
Okay.
Not federal tuition assistance.
Okay.
The
So
two tuition assistance programs will, when you get out, that's when that program ends for you.
okay.
Can you specify, when you say chapter 33, does that mean post 9/11?
Yes.
Okay, can you say, like, when you refer to it, chapter 33 or post 9/11 or Montgomery? Because I don't know, I didn't know the chapters.
It's
Every-
confusing. People know it as different.
Everyone gets
different
confused
names.
because, especially if you deployed, you have to apply for Chapter 33 post 9/11, or you'll continue on Chapter 1606, which is the basic one that everyone has. Once you apply, then the VA will send you a new certificate of eligibility with the amount of time remaining that you can utilize. That is the only, Chapter 33 post 9/11 is the only GI Bill that can be transferred to a dependent.
Okay.
That has to be in DEERS.
Okay.
So a spouse, children, I would say stepchildren or adopted children, as long as they're in
As long as they're
DEERS,
DEERS, they're good.
they're good, up to the 26th birthday.
Does that add time to that soldier or airman, their contract?
It does accrue a 4-year service obligation.
Is it concurrent?
If they qualify for post 9/11.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm learning a lot here right now.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Me
if,
too.
if you've got the 4 years remaining on your current contract, you do not have to extend again. But if you had 3 years, 364 days, you'd have to extend for 1 day, which you can't do. It'd be, I think, the minimum's 30 days a month. But there are certain rules that when they do the extension that is solely for the GI Bill.
Okay. If a soldier or airman has they're currently using their GI Bill and they want to take advantage of state tuition waiver, should they go to the VA office on campus to answer questions? Should they come to your office?
Either or. When it comes to the GI Bill, the service member really has to do their research, because if you're using post 9/11, that's gonna, and it depends on what percentage tier that you're at. Let's just say 100%. It's gonna be more beneficial for you to utilize that GI Bill for everything,
Okay.
and not utilize state tuition waiver, because if you're using the state tuition waiver to offset the tuition, it almost defeats the purpose of the post 9/11 GI Bill paying for the same thing.
Right, because the post 9/11 GI Bill will cover tuition.
Yes.
And again, it's based on your percentage. It will cover tuition plus give you a monthly stipend
Yes.
for living expenses or whatever.
Correct.
Okay. It's a very complicated process.
Right.
It
And
really is.
that's why we highly encourage everyone to call us.
Sure.
If we don't know the answer, we can get it. We have a good relationship with our GI Bill team at PEC. The ladies there, they're very knowledgeable, and it's right then and then we can turn around and let you know this is what you can and can't do.
Well, I know my personal experience in working with the education office and with you, Mr. Brehm, you guys are, like you said, very knowledgeable about all of everything that you handle in the education office. And if you don't know, you find out and you're really quick about responding back to questions. And that's very important.
We're all about taking care of the soldiers. We really are.
For me, I had Sergeant McMillan called me and said, hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but you have probably a couple grand worth of student loan repayment that you haven't utilized. I mean, he reached out to me
Very proactive, yes.
about it, sure enough, I got all the forms filled out and everything, and I had about $2,000 paid off of my loan, which is great. And I didn't even know, I would have just let it go away, and the fact that he was so proactive about it and contacted me about it was awesome, so.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of service members don't realize that our education is also our incentives office as well. We're one of there's about a handful of states that their education and incentives office are the exact same group of people. So we actually handle bonuses, the kicker, your student loan. We handle all of those things in the office as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that, so they think education, and they call us, not knowing that their bonus, we can help them with that issue as well.
So that's not just an initial enlistment bonus, that's a re-enlistment bonus
That's
as
any
well?
bonus that
Any
you
type
have
of bonus.
that you have qualified for in the Guard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you heard it here. Don't call your recruiter.
No.
Call the education
Yes.
office. They can help you with getting that bonus
Yes.
taken care of. Okay. Outstanding. Yeah, that's really good information to know. We get
And-
calls on.
Well, we
where
had
to
a
go.
huge system outage back in October of last year, and the system was down for almost 6 months.
Right.
And no bonus got paid.
Wow.
No, everything we operate out of is in the system, and it was a nationwide failure, just not Oklahoma.
Okay.
So the best thing I can tell service members right now that are looking for that bonus payment, call us.
And be patient.
And be patient. We might not be aware, or we might have already worked it.
And now for a quick break. Remember, we are right in the middle of tornado season, so make sure you check out our latest episode on tornado safety, what you should do before, during, and after a tornado. And if you have questions about today's episode, check out our show notes linked in our podcast or YouTube video description. And now back for more of today's episode on education benefits.
What percentage of guardsmen and women actually take advantage of the education benefits?
I could talk for the federal tuition assistance program. It's less than 10% of the National Guard members use the federal
Wow.
tuition assistance program. Now, caveat that with a lot of them do use the state tuition waiver, and they can use either one of them. So,
Okay.
I don't know what the percentage is for the state tuition waiver is.
I don't have it broke down by a percentage, but just FY18, we had over 2,000 service members utilizing the state tuition waiver. Now that was a lot of people let's just say if they just did spring and fall. So they were repeat people on that list, but
Okay.
2,000, that's Air and National Guard. So,
Air and Army.
and now
Wow.
our end strength's around 6,600. So,
That's
I
just for the Army, it's 6,600. Then I don't know what
Right.
the air is. But
so
Wow.
it's still a low percentage.
Yeah, that to me is a shame because education, even just credit hours, without having a degree, if you complete a certain number of credit hours, that's promotion points for getting to your next rank. Having a degree is almost a requirement now to achieve certain ranks. And the tools are there, the resources are there for people to be able to take advantage of and essentially get free school.
100%.
And progress their career. But nobody takes advantage of it. Wow. Well, no, I won't say nobody.
Right. The
Very
people that
small
do,
percentage.
The people that do take advantage of it.
Yeah.
It's getting that information out, which has been probably the hardest challenge that we have faced, is how to get that information out. And hopefully this is a great platform to help get that disseminated down to those people that will take advantage of it.
I can
Yeah.
use my own self as an example of education because I joined the regular Army as a 17-year-old high school dropout. Dropped out of high school. I got my high school diploma while I was in the Army. I got the Army to pay for my bachelor's degree. I got the Army to pay for my master's degree. And went to officer candidate school, and I ended up retiring as a major, as a high school dropout.
Wow.
Awesome.
And the Army did all that for me. And plus got my current job.
That's incredible. The Army provides it, but you made it happen for
Correct.
you. And you,
It's a matter of, once you have the tools and you know what's out there, it's actually just going out there and utilizing them.
yeah, that's great. Huge benefits. Okay, so let's say I'm in school. My anthropology degree is really rolling down the road, doing great things. All of a sudden I get mobilized. Does that stop my benefits? Am I responsible for paying for that semester that I can't complete because I've been called for deployment or any type of active duty?
For
Assignment.
federal tuition assistance, you would probably qualify for what's called a military withdrawal. A military withdrawal is any unanticipated military orders that you come down on, for instance, like a deployment that you weren't aware of, in the middle of a semester, you would, there's a military withdrawal form we could provide to you. You fill it out, get it signed by your commander, send it back in. It comes to our office, we look it over, make sure it meets the requirements for a military withdrawal, and basically, we forgive you for that semester.
Okay.
And we just write it off for that semester from the college.
So that's not a black mark against me that I
Not
had to
at all.
withdraw from these classes.
Not at all, no.
Okay.
On state tuition waiver side, it's the same thing. Especially if it's Title X order, well, we're not going to hold you accountable for that. So we can do a military withdrawal as well. We do offer college first for the new prior service enlistees. That guarantees them 2 years as long as they're enrolled. And they can elect to waive that right if their unit does deploy. However, if it's a state active duty mission, College First does not apply. It was news to me as well because the policies, I believe around 2009 when General Deering was still the tag. So
Okay.
that is one of the things that service members have to potentially look out for. But with Hurricane Harvey last year, it was a pretty big issue for about a month, but we always advise the service members to talk to their professors, talk to the school, let them know their situation. People are very forgiving, and you forget that, and they understand that you do have an obligation to the National Guard as well. So some are very unique, but most of them can be handled right there on the spot.
Some professors will work with you to extend this semester actually, and turn in work at a later date as well. Give you an incomplete and then finish it at a later date and turn it in.
Okay.
If there's a professor who, just maybe they're not pro-military, which there are some,
Correct.
what would you recommend that soldier do then? Go through their chain of command so they can then talk, or provide memos, or what do you think?
For me, I would say call me. We can provide the memo right then and there.
Right.
And then handle it that way. Because one of the things...
We have a student services support group up at headquarters ACES that actually deals with those issues, that if we're having a problem with a specific college, an issue that we'll talk directly with, the school.
Okay.
We're letting somebody else deal with it besides us, and that's their sole job is to do that as well.
Because one of the things that the state tuition waiver offers that I think is sometimes kind of misleading is there is no money exchanged at any point. It's like I said, it's an agreement between the regents and the university. So if you had to withdraw or you failed a class, we're not going to send a recoupment memo out to you.
Okay.
Now, if it becomes a repeat offender, then you could potentially see something. But that's something that, should give service members a little bit of peace of mind, especially when finals hit, that, hey, things happen, especially with deployments, deaths in the family, things like that. So I just thought I'd throw that out there because I was thinking about it, because we went through FTA a few years ago handling a huge debt process.
Recoupment. We recouped quite a few people for failing classes in the past, going back a few years, and
Yeah.
they got a shock when they were waiting on their IRS check, and it got recouped.
So study, kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Study, go to class, do what you're supposed to do when you go to
Pass your
school.
classes.
And pass your classes. So, what if I'm a very ambitious student and I'm trying to get through classes quickly, or get through my degree as quickly as possible? I'm taking summer classes. I know I have AT, but I get enrolled in the summer class. I talk to my commander. My commander says, nope, you're not getting out of AT. You're going for the 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a very long time in a summer class.
Yes.
You miss a lot of material during that 2 weeks for AT. Is that forgiven?
On the federal TA side, that would not be forgiven, because that is not considered an unanticipated military absence.
Okay.
You should have known that you were going to AT and what the dates were, and probably should not have taken a class during your AT dates.
On the waiver side, it all depends on where. If you can withdraw, it's basically during that withdrawal period or not. Like I've said, we've never recouped since I've been in the office for something like that.
Okay.
But you have to withdraw. If you let the class continue to carry out, then you're going to have those on your record as in did not complete or Fs, and therefore you would not be eligible for the waiver. So it might get you one way or another.
Okay. So as far as being disqualified from the waiver, if I fail how many semesters, or you said before if you fall under the 2.0 limit, then once you get back to the 2.0, then you can take advantage of that again.
Yes.
If I'm failing classes, that doesn't stop me from being able to take advantage of it, as long as I maintain that 2.0.
Right. And that's something too. Everyone that's been to college knows it's really easy to if you do take that semester off and not elect to study, that once you get that grade point average below a 2.0, it's really hard to get it back up in just a semester or two.
Yeah.
So that's something that the young men and women need to be aware of, is that, hey, it seems like it's a pretty low bar, but in reality, if you drop below it,
For
it
every
might
F, you're
do
going to
you.
have to make an A to make up for that.
Right. And it's hard. It's hard to bring it up. It's real easy to let that
Yep.
GPA go down, but it's even harder to get back. I've heard that it takes almost 60 credit hours of A's to raise your GPA 1 point. To go from a 2 point to a 3 point. 60 credit hours of A's.
Right, and that's a lot of classes.
It's a lot of classes. It's a lot of studying to make sure you get an A in all of those 60 hours too. That's intense.
But C's do get degrees.
Yes, they do. It doesn't say on your degree.
That's true.
I have a question or two.
Cool.
If, let's say that I've used the FTA and I've incurred a service debt, and then I get medically retired before I've finished that service debt, what happens?
Okay, it depends. If you're an officer, you have a 4-year service obligation. If you're enlisted, you don't have that 4-year service obligation. If you're medically retired, it all depends on, we have to look at the orders and the SPD code for what you're getting out for, and it would make a difference of whether you would get recouped or not, or a proportional recoupment.
Okay, and then second part of that question, let's say the same scenario, except instead of being retired, a person went from the Guard to the Army Reserve, just directly went over, no break in service necessarily. Does that affect the service commitment?
Normally, it would not, no.
Okay.
On the federal
Because they're on the federal side, because they're maintaining still with the reserve, going from Guard to Reserve to two different, staying within the Army, basically.
Okay. So we do have quite a few people. I've got a soldier that lives in Virginia, but he flies to Oklahoma every month, once a month, racking up the air miles. It's great for him. But is he able to take advantage of state tuition waiver?
I think you've been checking our emails. This question came up when the service member fills out their FAFSA application. Let's say they're a Texas Guard or a Texas resident. That's where their family lives, and they put their residency in Texas. They're going to get the out-of-state rate based off of that. So, for example, I contacted SWASU in Weatherford. I said, what is your admissions? What are they saying how do they basically establish residency in Oklahoma? One, she said they would have to take a semester off. And again, this is just for Southwestern. Take a semester off, show that they live there, because what they're saying is you cannot establish residency based off of school. So they're
Okay.
saying take that semester off, or actually a year off, and show that you're a resident of Oklahoma. And then two, I thought was kind of funny, but she said marry an Oklahoma resident. So
Wow.
that was Southwestern's way of taking care of that. So
Kind of
Okay.
insane,
It's-
but-
Yeah.
you can take advantage of it, but
Yeah.
you're not going to get that 100% in-state rate.
Don't marry for love, marry for
for
state
school.
tuition. Right.
In that case, you might want to use federal too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. So basically you have to be an Oklahoma resident to take advantage of the Oklahoma State tuition waiver.
Yes.
You can't use your unit's address as your home address to
Right,
be able
because
to.
the school will see it.
Right.
The school's the one that ultimately makes the decision.
Okay.
We are the manager. So all of it's very important that the service member understands that each semester that they have to reapply for the state tuition waiver. Because each semester it changes. You might be taking 12 hours, you might be taking 18. You can actually go to 2 or 3 different schools as long as that it doesn't go over the 18-hour cap.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to a community college and to a 4-year university, you can have tuition waivers for both of those.
You can do the same thing for federal TA as well, because we have some students, I'll use University of Oklahoma as an example. We'll have some students that are University of Oklahoma students, but they need to take a couple of classes that they can take cheaper at Oklahoma City Community College. So they take those classes concurrently at the same time they're OU students. So they're taking two different colleges for the same semester.
Sure. Okay.
Well, I mean, just part of our job in the education office is to offer counseling. So if the service member, it's their first semester, I highly recommend just coming over to RTI for an hour or so and just sitting down and talking with us. And we could lay all of this out and then present the best plan forward. If Rose State's going to be the best option for your, general requirements, that might be your first 60 hours there, and then pursue the bigger universities if that's the route you want to go, which I highly recommend. I can speak personally. I was a teacher prior to this in Middale. They offer the ticket to Rose. So 8th grade students can apply. There's certain eligibility things that they have to meet, but they can go to Rose State for the first 2 years of college for free.
Wow.
And I know that's not our program, but that's something that if they came from Middale that they need to take advantage of.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they can pursue that, degree at a OU or OSU, wherever it might be in the state.
So you said that the education office offers counseling services as far as education counseling goes. Does that also include academic counseling, helping people find what degree may be best suited for them, or is it mostly the financial aspect of education?
We could.
We can. We have in Gormy Ed, for instance, they have what's called a VIA program. I highly recommend everybody that uses Gormy Ed is supposed to go through the entire program, but it basically links an interest inventory of what you're interested in to decide what the best degree plan is for you. Now, you can override and say, no, I definitely want to do this, but it kind of gives you an idea based upon your interest what you should probably pursue doing that would make you happy in life.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the caveat off of that, I mean, we could say, hey, this is, based on what you've told us, but when you go to a university and you declare your major, you should be assigned an academic advisor that can help definitely get you on that path. So financially, yes, we could say, hey, this is the GI Bill you have. You're not eligible. There's Sergeant McManus. Here's how you become eligible.
Okay.
Things like that. We could, but, some people take advice very well. Some others don't. So it all depends.
Okay.
And that's another thing, too. I mentioned we're over at RTI in the administration building. We're no longer located on the Joint Force Headquarters campus. So we are over there now.
And that's on Kelly?
Kelly and 63rd.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You talked about deadlines for state and federal tuition assistance. What do you have those dates on you, and can you say them if you do? If not, we can put them in our notes for the show.
Okay, well, for federal TA, you basically have 60 days prior to the class starting, and you must submit it at least 5 days prior to the class starting. Now, state tuition waiver has a little bit.
I mean, I can definitely tell you the spring, the 2 big semesters, spring and fall. Spring is 31 January every year, and fall is always going to be August 31st. And that's something they have to understand, too, is that we don't submit the waiver until then. So you're in classes for 2 to 3 weeks before we submit the waiver to the school.
Okay.
So
if I get all of my paperwork submitted and everything is correct, and I go to look maybe the first week, I get a bill from the Bursar's office, Should I freak out because my benefits haven't gone through yet?
No.
Do they process pretty quick?
Well, on federal TA, they usually don't even the college normally doesn't even invoice till you're about 3/4 of the way through the class. So no, don't freak out at all. Now on the state, like you said, they're not even put in for a couple of weeks, a few weeks after the semester starts either. So if you're more than about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the semester, then maybe start probing questions to your bursar office about,
That, or I mean, you can contact us, because there are instances where the unit or the service member, the information didn't get put in to the system.
Okay.
And at that point, it's an exception to policy. We can submit it up and get it taken care of.
Okay. So, other than the education benefits that we've spoken about, what else does the education office offer?
Well, we spoke about incentives. So I tie kicker into incentives, although it's probably more of an educational program. But if you enlisted, there is a 350 kicker out there that if it's a part of your contract, it supplements Chapter 1606. So you can add the 384 plus the 350 kicker, and that's directly sent to your bank account. So it's basically a full-time job to be a full-time student.
But that's something that you have to have in your contract before you enlist.
Yes.
That's something you do at MEPS?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Right now, this is the one time I've seen it in the 4 years that you can right now re-enlist for a $20,000 bonus, a $50,000 student loan repayment program. If you have not had it before, and if you have not had the kicker, you can get the 350 kicker currently.
All right, we'll talk after the show because that's a pretty sweet deal.
We totaled it up. It was about $85,000 worth
Right.
of benefits for 6 years.
Right.
Wow. That's incredible.
Oh,
That's
amazing.
incredible.
Okay.
Personal story, I started working in the office in August 2015. I was a state tuition waiver and GI Bill manager and realized I had a kicker. At that time, I think it was $150, maybe $200 dollar kicker that I never took advantage of. I did a reverse inquiry with the GI Bill team, and the VA paid me $7,500.
I think I have a kicker.
It's a personal, it's a case-by-case basis, and I was lucky. But I pursued it, and it turned out good for me. I'm not saying every case will be approved, but if you apply for the GI Bill 1 January, and here it is 2 May, and you have not got paid, it will be back paid to when you were eligible for that benefit.
Okay.
But it is a monthly process as well. You have to call in each month to verify your enrollment with the VA.
Right. And that's just one of those tedious processes to make sure
I
you're
did
still
it.
enrolled
Yeah.
and it's part of
Yeah.
the process.
It's
But hey, it's free
accountability.
money.
Accountability.
Right. Small things for benefits. So, do you offer any type of testing services or test prep or anything like that in the education offices?
We do currently offer those that want to increase their line scores. So when you go to MEPS, it's the ASVAB. When you retake it, it's called the AFCT or AFQT. Most people use it to raise their GT score to get into officer candidate or warrant officer candidate school.
Okay.
Or to apply for AGR.
Yeah, or applying for an AGR job. Or you're just wanting to change MOSs and it requires different line scores. Our office can test for the AFCT. And it is simple. You contact your unit. They submit the 4187. We test Monday through Thursday at 08, or Monday through Friday now, 0800, as long as I have about 3 days to reserve the computer lab.
Okay. If someone's looking to join the National Guard, do you offer ASVAB prep, or do you have to be a member of the National Guard to take advantage of that?
A member of the Guard, because we can, if you're not in the Guard, you have to take it at MEPS.
Okay. Okay.
We also offer the SIF test as well.
Right. So
For
the
those
selection
warrant
instrument
officer
flight.
candidates for flight school, we
Okay.
do offer that test as well.
Right.
Okay.
And that's same exact process. The only difference is between the two, you can only take the SIF twice in your military career. The AFCT, you can take it as many times as you want. You just have to wait 6 months in between. Or if you do the exception to policy, you can get that waived down to 3 months.
Okay. So let's say I use the state tuition waiver. I can get my bachelor's degree, free and clear. Now I'm wanting to do a master's degree, so I'm looking at the federal tuition assistance. Most master's degrees require exams, the GRE specifically. I know the Army's IPAP program, their PA program, they require you to take the SAT. Do you reimburse the cost of taking those tests through the education office?
Currently, we do not.
Right. I believe it was right when I came on board in
Right.
November of 15.
There was some legal issues with it.
Yeah, that process stopped. However, some tests, certificates, you can utilize your GI Bill, but it's something you have to look at, and you can always call us, and that we can help you decide if it's worth losing part of your GI Bill to help offset that cost.
Right, because you would have to use 1 full month of benefits for that test.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's not very expensive, you might want to pay out of pocket. If it's
Sure.
Down the road, there are some changes coming.
Yeah.
I say probably in FY20 sometime, to where we will be going to a credentialing assistance program where we'll start paying for over 1,200 credentials. But that's coming in
Wow.
FY20. Not yet, but it's coming. They're doing a limited user test right now of it in the Texas National Guard and the Kentucky National Guard, 2 states that they're doing it right now at. But it expects to go Army-wide in FY20.
That's great.
So any big changes like that, let us know and we can do another one of these
Oh.
or do a video.
it's
packet
going to
or
be a
something.
huge change.
We've also got this needs assessment survey that's going on right now. It's running through the 30th of June. It's on SurveyMonkey. So if there's soldiers out there that have suggestions for us, or basically they just want their voice to be heard of what they like about education, what they don't like about education, let us know. Take the survey. It only takes 2 to 3 minutes. You can even do it on your cell phone. Doesn't require a laptop computer to do it. And 2 to 3 minutes. Let us know what you think.
No, that's good. I took the survey. We have that posted to our Twitter and to our Facebook pages,
Okay.
the Oklahoma
Okay,
National
great.
Guard Facebook and Twitter pages. I took the survey last week. Super simple. It's not one of those really convoluted Army type surveys. It's very straightforward, and I got to input my opinion on what I want out of the education program. It's not just, hey, does this work?
Right.
Does this not work? It's what do you think you want it to be? And that's important for a
Right, 'cause
survey.
that's
So
the
you
only,
feel
that's
like
the
you're,
only way we know, whether we're doing something right or whether we're not doing something right.
And we'll link to that also on this show. So.
yeah.
I say that because so I remember when I edit this that we got a link to that.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what are some good resources that people who are listening may be able to reach out? You said give a call. What's a good phone number that people can call to reach you, or email addresses?
My direct number is 405-228-5533.
And I'm 405-228-5676. And I would give you our education inbox email address,
But it's
but
very
it
long.
is-
We can give you a link for it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is ridiculously long. And
We'll put that in our show notes so that people can just copy
Right.
paste.
And I'm in the global under james.e.brehm in the global. So if you want to email me, that's fine as well.
And I'm in there twice as a CW2 and a civilian. So I have my guard site linked to my civilian account. So
Okay.
if they email the wrong one, I'll see it.
Okay. And I know you have a page on the Oklahoma National Guard website as well, the public website that has contact information and a lot of the
Correct.
the events and things like
Right.
that you guys have going on.
Sure.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the education office, what you can provide soldiers or airmen?
Well, the last thing I can think of, just looking over this, is their joint services transcript. That is all their military training. They can submit that to the college. You can actually do it online through the JST site, and that will give them credit to most of the time is physical education, things like that. But you get officers that have their captain's career courses and things like that.
That gives some master's credits as well.
Right. So they can submit that if they need help with it. I do have access to it, so
I have access to it as well. So
we can, on their behalf, help get them set up with that as well.
Okay. So let's say I'm an MP and I want to get a degree in criminal justice. Kind of matches up. the schooling that I got at AIT is probably going to be repeated in some of the classes I take at university. What if the school doesn't give me that credit? Is there somewhere I can go to petition that? Can you help with getting that credit applied to my college transcript?
Well, it is up to every different college. Every college is a little bit different on what they will and will not accept. We can't really tell the college, you must accept what's on the JST transcript. It's a recommendation.
Okay.
Some colleges are a lot more liberal about it. I say some of your bigger colleges are a lot more liberal about it, like your Excelsiors and your University of Phoenixes and stuff like that are a lot more liberal about it, and some of the smaller colleges might not be as liberal about it. It all depends on the college.
Okay.
I was just gonna say go to a different school, but that was a really good answer.
Yeah. No, our AIT for photojournalism is 13 weeks, and I got the 3-hour PT credit.
Right.
I had to serve a minimum of 5 years active duty just to get that job, and I got nothing for
Right.
for my college.
And it'll be
It's
an
a
individual
professional degree.
basis type thing.
Sure.
I sent mine, and there was to the UCO, and it was like all these supervision things that I will never pursue.
Mhm.
I was like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I got 3 credits toward my master's degree.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Cool.
Do you have anything else, Leanna?
No, this is awesome. I learned a ton. I'm gonna talk to y'all. Probably gonna come over and meet with you guys about a few things that I'm trying.
Yeah, and that's
Sure.
we
Yeah.
we take walk-ins.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're there from about 6 to about
Yeah.
4 in the afternoon. So
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you,
Perfect.
gentlemen,
You're
so much
welcome.
for joining us.
no problem.
glad to do it.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching and tuning in to our 3rd episode of the OK Guard Show. We're very happy that you've joined us today. And please remember to let us know what you think about the show. If you have any ideas for us, if you have any show topics that you would like to hear, or even if you have any questions for our guests, please let us know.
Yeah, definitely. We can reach out to them and get those questions answered. Also, next month, June, we'll be back with a really special episode with Brigadier General Lewis Willem, who came in and talked with us about how to be an effective, non-toxic leader. And that was...
It was great. I can definitely spot a toxic pool so that I can avoid that both as a leader and also as one being led. We talk about toxic followers as well. So great episode. Please tune in next month. We'd love to hear some feedback from you. And as always, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Perfect. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
The OK Guard Show is produced by the Oklahoma National Guard Public Affairs Office. Any mention of products or brands does not imply endorsement. All guests on the show are volunteers in an effort to inform and educate members of the Oklahoma National Guard, their families, retirees, potential recruits, and the community.